In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern, taking a look at a very back and forth, warm and moist, dry and cooler pattern, as we're going to be seeing this moisture and heat build in the central and eastern states. And on 2 or 3 different occasions over the next 2 weeks, we are going to see a cold front, pretty strong one, roll through and push all of that out. And you can imagine that there will be a lot of instability that accompanies that big conflict, and that is when we're going to be seeing a lot of thunderstorms and potential severe weather, unfortunately. I'm excited to announce that I just released a brand new vlog. Right as you're watching this video, it is available on my Ashton Blue channel. You can check it out on the top right corner of your screen, the pinned comment and description down below. We went to Florida, we went boating, we went to a Disney resort, we went all sorts of places. We went to Disney Springs, it was awesome, and we saw and actually encountered a very intense thunderstorm that hit us while we were boating, and we had to get out of there really quickly. Okay, we might get hit actually. Rachel, what's going on?
I don't know.
Oh, get us out of here! Check it out today. Subscribe to that channel, like I said, like the video and comment down below that video because it helps me out so much as I'm just beginning to grow that channel. It helps it get suggested to more people, which is very, very hard to do when you're first starting out. So that would mean the world to me if you guys would just go do those 3 things over on that channel. With all that being said, let's go ahead and dive into things. And we're taking a look at the precipitable water. This is going to be giving you a pretty good estimate of the potential rainfall that could occur at any given moment. And typically this is going to correlate with high amounts of humidity, also heat, and then the drier areas are going to be associated with lower humidity, obviously, when we see the browns and the grays there. So this is going to give us not only a good idea of the humidity, but it's really, really easy to pinpoint cold fronts on this map, I've noticed, and we've been using it a little bit, and we're going to be showing you this today. So here is this afternoon right here, and we can already see a bit of a cold front rolling through. It flattens out there towards the deep south, so we get the humidity and heat rolling through along the east coast here and pushing onto the Gulf Coast. But we do see this Canadian dry, cool air really pushing in. Obviously, probably a low up here in eastern Canada. Something like that is the current setup, and we're going to see this get pushed out by the time we're looking at tomorrow afternoon on Saturday, May 10th. The deep south holds on to a lot of that area where it flattens out. It doesn't really advance too much, but off the east coast you could see basically from North Carolina northward we have dried up and cooled down significantly for Saturday, May 10th. As we move towards Sunday, May 11th, what we're going to see is that this humidity and warmth is able to make a really quick rebound as it's already pushing back northward up the central and eastern states. The deeper and closer towards summer that we get, the more quick and explosive these rebounds will be. Almost to a point where typically in the deep summer, we don't have too many significant cold fronts that push that dry and cool air in. As you know, it usually just stays either hot or hotter is your 2 options during June, July, and August. But the hot days, not the hotter ones, is going to be when those more minor cold fronts and storm systems roll through. Looking towards Monday, again, pushing further northward, we now see a lot of the Midwest, Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic in this more moist environment, especially this area here. You can imagine this kind of force pulling it up the East Coast. That area in particular is experiencing a lot of humidity by Monday on May 12th. Now, excuse my text notification. Let's take a look at what happens by Tuesday on May 13th, and we see this pushing all the way up into New England and the Great Lakes and everything. So obviously very moist, and that continues through Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But look at this right here, Friday. This is Friday morning on the 16th. We see this feature here, which is going to be a cold front, likely a warm front up here. And watch how explosively this dry, cooler air is able to just work its way through, very similarly to the one before it, straight through the eastern states. Look at this. Friday, Saturday, 24 hours, and it's already pushed a lot of that humidity off of the north central and northeastern states. But again, that rebound is relatively quick. By Monday the 19th, we already have that humidity back, but look at this. Another low up here, somewhere in the northern plains, upper Midwest. Cold front here. Really going to advance through quickly again. So Monday the 19th, here's Tuesday the 20th, and already that's pushing things out Wednesday the 21st. That one's a little bit more explosive as we see this dry air reach all the way southward into Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina there. But once again, we will see this begin rebounding right here at the end of this model run. So I think that was 3 cold fronts, mostly very humid in between them, but they do bring a day or two of dryness and a little bit of cooler weather once they're rolling through and the day or two following. So very interesting stuff. Looking at the precipitation, we do see storminess prevailing along the Gulf and East Coast here for today. Lots of thunderstorms, upward of a slight risk in a couple of locations. So we're going to be taking a look at the Storm Prediction Center. Obviously, all of those outlooks at the end of this video. Here's Saturday afternoon tomorrow, and we see a lot of this is more exclusive for deeper south areas there along the Gulf Coast. There is some showery activity in the northeast, but it is relatively quiet. And once that cool front has worked its way through, cool front, I think that's a good way to put it, we do see that there is a bit of a ridge, a pretty significant one actually out west, but the trough in the east is a little less significant. It is slightly cooler than normal for these eastern areas for Saturday the 10th. Sunday on the 11th, same thing. A lot of this precipitation is expanding a little bit further northward there, pushing towards the Virginia-North Carolina border there for Sunday afternoon. On the 11th, I think that is Mother's Day as well. I better get my facts straight on that one because gotta celebrate our mothers, of course. Looking towards Monday on the 12th, a little bit more organized with this activity in the southeast. Could even be a severe weather threat to some extent, so we'll be watching for that closely Monday the 12th. Some storminess also prevailing along the northwest as well as the southwest of Canada there in the form of rainfall for the lower elevations, but for the more high elevation locations, this is in the form of snowfall. Looking towards Tuesday on the 13th, a lot of this precipitation is expanding further northward into North Carolina, Virginia, the heart of the mid-Atlantic as well there. Some showers, maybe even thunderstorms there for Tuesday the 13th. Wednesday the 14th, we see the mid-Atlantic still included. There is isolated activity throughout a big chunk of like the northeast corner of the nation in general. We also see snowfall is a little bit more expansive there across a lot of your central and northern Rockies. And a stronger low is developing near the Dakotas there. Again, Wednesday the 14th. Thursday on the 15th, we see this low, for the most part, moves northward. There is a cold front here, but we do see a secondary low setting up as well, which could, really add a lot of activity on that southern end of the storm as there's more low pressure, more instability. We'll see the effects that this has. Still isolated activity here in the northeast corner of the nation. Could be chances of thunderstorms and showers almost daily next week for these parts, as there's just constantly you can't rule it out, basically, is what this looks like to me. Friday on the 16th, we get a little bit more active as we have a 989 here in Canada. Very expansive cold front. It's bowing out something like that. It might be a little bit more reserved than what I originally drew, but something along these lines is what we're seeing. And there is some activity kind of spawning out across that cold front, but it isn't the highest precipitation cold front in the world. It's mostly in the overnight hours where we really see things flare up. This is 2 a.m. on Saturday, and we see that cold front reaching the eastern seaboard. And again, laying a little bit more flatly across the deep south, where it becomes probably a little bit more of a stationary front. And we end up seeing just storms kind of moving along that line here from west to east is what I'd imagine that would look like. Although we're at 200 hours now, so things can change a little bit. That is the overall look that I'm seeing here. We do see across the northwest another storm system moving onshore. Again, rainfall for a lot of areas, snowfall for some of the Rockies as well. It's kind of what we're seeing out there. By Saturday afternoon, a lot of your activity is pushed off the mid-Atlantic coast, but the Northeast is still dealing with it. And also areas for the deeper south and parts of the Midwest, we are seeing thunderstorms flaring up. Meanwhile, by Saturday the 17th as well, we see our next low forming near Colorado, a pretty classic place for storms this time of year to start out, and that is probably going to bring some severe weather with it. As we can see by Sunday the 18th, looks like it's doing just that. 991 in west central Kansas. I mean, this is just classic. Snowfall across the high elevations of the Rockies. showery activity to the north of that low, even persistent rainfall. And this corridor right here is going to be your pocket to watch for severe weather. So let's see if this night we see things get a little worse. And yeah, sure enough, I mean, 988 across Nebraska, South Dakota area, you would be really seeing a upper end risk of severe weather most likely in this scenario. We're right at about 10 days here. So again, this is kind of a finicky area where things can change quite a bit. But just with this look in mind, let's assume this is what happens. Very, very, very bad look, and could be one of our bigger events of the year if it looked this way, which again, it won't. Almost certainly there will be some differences, but will those differences be minor enough to where it's still a very major system, or will there be major changes that either make it look a lot less impactful, or on the other end of the spectrum, it could look even more impactful, which would be very, very bad. Monday on the 19th here, we can clearly see the low here. Even some snowfall spread around for parts of the Dakotas and Minnesota. Very interesting. We have a warm front somewhere out here. Cold front looks to be right about there. So mostly showery along that warm front on the upper end. This would be your primary area of severe weather threat. And by Tuesday, we see this moves into more eastern Canada. Again, overall rainfall for a lot of these areas, mostly showers. But these pockets here would be the area we're watching for Tuesday on the 20th, hypothetically, because this is very far out. Wednesday on the 12th, or 21st, it's all said and done. We do have some thunderstorms in the south central states, some activity up there in the northwest, including snowfall, but again, a little quieter. Thursday on the 22nd, we do have this low up here in Canada. Probably some severe weather threat here across a lot of the plains and Midwest, but very, very far out. And we do see another, after that point, low forming in Colorado. That would be even worse, is if we see the one that looks very major and then just a few days later another one developing here that looks very similar. Very bad stuff. So maybe if this model has any inkling of what's going to be happening at the midway point and beyond of the month, is that we're going to be seeing much more wide-scale severe weather events, is kind of the current thinking with the European model. Super interesting and super bad news. Total precipitation here because of all this. I mean, really, for the most part, all of these areas are doing very well. Southwest, probably pretty close to normal as well because they don't average that much. I'm sure there's some drier pockets in this region, but mostly this eastern seaboard is just exploding with precipitation. So let's look at the anomalies. And sure enough, I mean, from Florida to Maine, above average precipitation here through the 24th. A little drier throughout the south central states, despite some severe weather events. Obviously, in the earlier portion, and really so far in May, it has been slightly quieter than what you would expect. So I feel like there's something that we're waiting for here, and that could just be a gut feeling that ends up being wrong, but hopefully we just glide through May and nothing major happens, and maybe it was just a front-loaded severe weather season. But if this does turn around, it could be pretty explosive if we see something like what the European model was suggesting. Now, for the Storm Prediction Center outlooks, day one, we have 2 general thunderstorm risk areas. Actually, 3. If you guys watch my videos daily, you know I got caught up on this a couple days ago. The southern tip of Texas, like half a county, has a general thunderstorm risk that does not connect with the northern one. Very weird. So there's 3 general thunderstorm risks. One is literally miniature. And all of those light green areas is where we expect general thunderstorms, but we do not expect severe weather. But these severe weather events are pretty much the hardest to predict, especially when we're looking at specifics. So anything is possible. Heat every watch, warning, and advisory. We have the darker green area there across the deep south and southeast coast there. That is your level 1 marginal risk, where we expect isolated severe weather to occur. Again, this is all for Friday today on May 9th. And we have 2 yellow areas there, one in eastern Florida, then one there for my neck of the woods in southeast Virginia, as well as northeast North Carolina. And that is going to be where we expect scattered about severe weather to be possible today. As we take a look at day 2, we see we have 4 general thunderstorm risk areas, some oddly shaped ones. And again, same thing applies. General thunderstorms expected. And then the 2 darker green areas there with isolated severe weather expected for tomorrow on Saturday the 10th. Day 3 here for Sunday the 11th, again, Mother's Day. 2 general thunderstorm risk areas and 2 marginal risk areas. So nothing crazy. Today actually looks to be the more eventful day out of the 3. But again, I feel like we're creeping up to something for the midway point of the month and for the final half, really, especially if the European model is correct. So we will keep you tuned on all of that. I feel like we're hitting a very quiet period here, but in all likelihood, we will see that activity return before May is said and done. But again, let's keep our fingers crossed that it doesn't, because it's already been such a bad season. It would be good to kind of start to slow it down early. With all that being said, we upload every single day. Be sure to subscribe. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.